Hello everyone, and welcome back to Foreign Eyes on America. Today's story begins not in a classroom or city center but in a parking lot. To many Koreans, their first real encounter with American life starts outside the supermarket, under the open sky. What seems ordinary to Americans can feel extraordinary to visitors: the sheer size, the stillness, and the freedom of space itself. For many Koreans, the first shock of visiting an American supermarket comes not from the aisles of cereal or shelves of soda but from what greets them outside the parking lot. Before stepping through the automatic doors, they are struck by the vastness. It feels less like a parking area and more like a small airfield. Rows stretch endlessly under the sun, divided by wide lanes that could fit two compact Korean cars side by side. It is a space designed not for efficiency but for freedom. In Seoul or Busan, parking is an act of geometry. Underground garages spiral downward like concrete mazes, every square meter planned for maximum use. Drivers edge forward carefully, fold mirrors, and squeeze into narrow spaces. Overhead lights guide them like an air traffic system. Finding a spot requires calculation, not luck. In Korea, parking is a test of precision. In America, it's an afterthought. The contrast begins with geography but ends in philosophy. In the United States, land is abundant and the car is king. Cities expand outward like ink spreading on paper, trading density for comfort. The supermarket lot becomes an expression of that belief. That personal mobility outweighs shared limits. To park freely is to live freely. In Korea, the equation is reversed. Land is scarce, and vertical growth is the only path forward. Parking moves underground, hidden beneath concrete layers. Space is something to be negotiated, not assumed. Efficiency is both necessity and virtue. Every inch carries value, and every minute of convenience must be earned through design. To Koreans, stepping onto the asphalt plains of an American parking lot feels surreal. Dozens of empty spaces shimmer in the heat. SUVs and trucks idle freely, yet no one feels crowded. For some, it symbolizes abundance; for others, waste. Still, both nations reveal their souls in how they use space. One builds upward because it must. The other spreads outward because it can. In Korea, efficiency defines modernity. In America, space defines freedom. Between those painted lines lies more than asphalt. It is the distance between two worlds, each convinced its way is the measure of progress. When Korean visitors describe an American supermarket parking lot, one word often comes to mind: convenience. Yet the meaning of that word changes across the Pacific. In Korea, convenience is engineered, built layer by layer through elevators, escalators, and signs. It is the product of choreography within tight limits. In the United States, convenience is simply given, born from abundance. It exists not in design or technology, but in the effortless spread of space itself. In Seoul, parking feels like entering a maze. Cars spiral downward into underground garages, marked by blinking lights and narrow lanes. Shoppers push carts into elevators and weave through crowds on moving walkways. The process is efficient but tiring, a ritual of control within constraint. In Korea, convenience means organization. A system that turns scarcity into order. In America, convenience takes a different shape: flat, open, and immediate. The parking lot lies right before the entrance, stretching across asphalt under the sky. Drivers park, walk a few steps, and enter the store. No elevators, no tunnels, no ramps, just a straight path between car and cart. For Koreans used to vertical structures, this simplicity feels liberating, even luxurious. Scale deepens the contrast. In Korea, finding a parking spot can take 10 minutes in the U.S. Even at peak hours, spaces remain. Wide lanes welcome large cars, and movement feels relaxed. What is struggle in Korea becomes pause in America, a moment to breathe between errands. For many visitors, their first impression of the United States begins not with skyscrapers, but with endless parking lots that seem to promise freedom itself. This difference is structural, not just visual. In dense cities, infrastructure must solve problems in wide suburbs. It simply exists. Korea achieves convenience through ingenuity. America achieves it through space. Both are efficient, but one is born of scarcity, the other of surplus. To Koreans, America's vast parking lots can seem wasteful, even excessive. To Americans, they represent respect for comfort and choice. Each reflects a cultural truth. Korea values precision and shared systems. America values ease and independence. In the end, convenience is not universal, it is cultural. In Korea, it means mastering limits. In America, it means forgetting them. And so, when Korean visitors recall their first trip to an American supermarket, they often smile and say, even parking feels like luxury. For many Koreans, the symbolism of an American supermarket parking lot is as striking as its size. It is more than asphalt, it is an ideology made visible. Outside a Walmart in Texas or a Costco in California, endless rows of pickup trucks and SUVs gleam beneath an open sky. Each vehicle is not merely transport, but a declaration of independence and self-sufficiency. Here, the parking lot itself speaks. This is a country built for movement. Every wide lane is an invitation to come and go without constraint. Parking becomes a small ritual of belonging. To have a car, to have room for it, to move freely between home and store, these are not conveniences, but symbols of participation in the American way of life. In Korea, the message is different. Space is precious, every meter counts. Cars are smaller, trips more frequent, purchases lighter. People buy what they can carry, often by foot or subway. Efficiency replaces excess. A Seoul parking garage is a labyrinth of precision. Mirrors folded in, wheels turned at impossible angles. Each driver performs a quiet negotiation with space. The American lot, meanwhile, celebrates abundance before shopping even begins. To step onto that vast plain of asphalt is to enter a world built around the promise of plenty. Shopping becomes an event, carts overflowing, trunks filled, aisles lined with bulk goods. The parking lot conditions the psychology of the shopper. It whispers, you have room. You can have more. Sociologists call this the pre-store experience design, shaping behavior before a single purchase. Japanese analysts once called American parking lots the first advertisement. Their openness and scale sell not products but confidence. To Korean observers, it is fascinating. The store sells goods, but the lot sells the idea of abundance. It is marketing without words, luxury without a price tag. For Korean newcomers, that first visit feels like a lesson in culture. Before studying English or economics, they study space, how it breathes, how it instructs. In America, convenience equals comfort, and comfort equals freedom. The parking lot is not just urban design but emotional architecture. It teaches that freedom is measured not only in rights but in square footage. This philosophy extends beyond asphalt. It appears in sprawling homes, in highways that stretch across states, in lawns that roll toward the horizon. Space becomes a moral language, a quiet proof of success. The more room you have, the more capable you seem. Thus, the parking lot becomes the first chapter of the American dream. Written not in words but in distance between cars. Yet abundance carries irony. What feels like freedom can also mean isolation. Vastness separates as much as it liberates. Each shopper in a car, each family in its own orbit. In Korea, scarcity binds. In America, abundance disperses. Both create order, but of very different kinds. Still, for visitors, the image lingers. An endless, sunlit lot that feels impossibly wide. It becomes a symbol of America. It's self-confident, open, self-sufficient, and forever in motion. Space is not just geography, it is identity. And nowhere is that more visible than in the place where America parks its dreams. Thank you for watching Foreign Eyes on America. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like, subscribe, and share to explore more perspectives on life, culture, and ideas from around the world. See you in the next episode.